Pastor Chris Avell of the evangelical church called Dad's Place in Bryan, Ohio, was recently charged with breaking 18 zoning restrictions for giving shelter to the unhoused during freezing temperatures. He pleaded guilty to those charges last Thursday. So Avell has been doing this since last winter, inviting the unhoused into his church during cold temperatures in order for them to not freeze to death, which I think is a good thing, people not freezing to death. Unfortunately, the zoning commission didn't agree with that. Oh, wait, homeless people getting warm?
Can't let that happen.
No, not allowed here in Bryan, Ohio. Oh, no. In November, officials told him Dad's Place could no longer house the homeless because of some, again, ridiculous reason. Well, you don't have bedrooms. Okay, well, it's a church. It's not going to have bedrooms. Now, the zoning in Ohio actually classifies the church as a business, which is weird. Now, Ohio law prohibits residential use in a business, including sleeping and eating in first-floor buildings within business districts. So that's what's going on there. Ironically, you're gonna find it really interesting who their neighbors are. According to James Kazi, a columnist at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Avell ignored the commissioner's orders and again opens Dad's Place to the homeless earlier this winter during these cold temperatures. That's until police arrived at the church during a New Year's Eve service and issued citations. Avell told Fox News, quote, "Many of these people have been rejected by their families and cast aside by their communities. So if the church isn't willing to lay down its life for them, who will? This is what we're called to do." Imagine that. I do so many, negative stories about religion, right? But here's a church doing what it's supposed to do by helping people, by opening its doors for those who are the most needy, and they are getting punished for it. Isn't Christianity about helping the homeless? Well, this guy apparently believes so, and that's exactly what he did. Opened his doors, and now he's getting, again, punished for it. That said, you might be wondering, why not just have them go to a homeless shelter? Well, this gets back to who their neighbors are. Turns out, the building right next to the church is a homeless shelter. Now, the problem is that there's too many people going to this homeless shelter and not enough room to house them all. That's why Avell said, well, you don't have space, but I do. Come on in, take a shower, wash your clothes, get something to eat, warm up, stay out of those freezing temperatures, and yes, even sleep here. Go ahead. We've got the room. That's what it's there for, to help people. And I think that's wonderful. But as I've said before in other segments about homelessness in this country, lawmakers and city officials don't really want to help the unhoused. Their idea of helping them is to make them disappear. It's to make homelessness, which is already bad enough, the most miserable experience they can, as if that's going to somehow help them not decide to not be homeless, as if that's like an awesome thing to be. Oh, I don't have a house, I'm having a great time. No, I don't have a place to live, I sleep under a bridge. What a wonderful life. No, it's not. Horrible. That said, these laws and that misguided belief, right, is why you have such rigid zoning codes, to make it illegal to help them out, and of course, to make it so that you don't have homeless people on benches. You have all this anti-homeless architecture. I talked about Washington literally spending $700,000 on giant rocks to put them in the encampments so that homeless people have nowhere to go, so that they keep getting bounced from one place to another, to another, to another, while never solving the actual problem. Okay? Their whole point is to try to get homeless people to just go somewhere else. I don't want to deal with it. It's not my problem. Ridiculous. Ashton Pittman, editor of the Mississippi Free Press, said Avell's story was a rare example in the U.S. of, quote, actual religious persecution of a Christian by the state. And he's actually right. Once again, think about how many stories I've done where you had so-called Christians that sit there and cry about persecution. Oh, we're being persecuted, because they're just being asked to tolerate the existence of LGBTQ plus people. Okay? That's one example. That's not real persecution. Okay? But here we do have a real case of persecution where someone is exercising their deeply held religious beliefs, because it is in the Bible to help the poor. It is in the Bible to help the needy, right? So they're using their religious beliefs to help people, and they're getting persecuted for it. Oh, you're breaking zoning laws. Yeah, well, how about you, kiss my ass? I'm going to go and help these people anyway, because that's what my religion demands that I do. And I'm not harming anyone. I'm actually helping people. That's what's going on in this country. Now, Evel's attorney, Jeremy Deese, told the Journal Sentinel, quote, "The city would rather kick these folks to the curb in the cold the cold outdoor months of December and early January that allowed the church to remain open 24/7 to those who need it the most." Causey noted that Avell was charged days before Milwaukee officials began investigating at least 3 homeless people's possible deaths from hypothermia when the area was experiencing severe cold. Homeless shelters, wrote Causey, fill up this time of year as people seek refuge from the bitter cold. While shelters do their best to ensure no one ends up in the cold, people often get frustrated and tough it out on the street. Avell saw a problem. He addressed the issue by helping 100 people and is now facing criminal charges. Does this sound right to anyone? No, it doesn't. He said a combination of the cold, growing unhoused population, and lack of housing shelters is the reason why charges against Avell must be dropped. And to that I say, I agree. Let him go. Let him go. He's actually trying to do something good. Now, that said, as much as I appreciate his efforts and think that he should have all the charges dropped and continue to do what he's doing, I do agree that this is a temporary solution at best. What needs to be done is to target the root of homelessness. And that is, of course, economic insecurity, addiction, healthcare or lack of healthcare, poverty. All right? There is a reason that the homeless population in this country grew by 12% in 2023. It's not because people out there have decided that homeless life is awesome, okay? Then I'm going to go and do that. No, it's because they can't afford homes. They're getting pushed out of areas due to, rising rents, the inability to purchase homes, losing their jobs, not being paid enough to survive due to inflation, lack of affordable places to live, as I mentioned, lack of help. And also, I think a big part is a lack of people actually giving a crap. Because look what happens when you actually do care. You get punished for it. And it's not just that. Even when you speak out for the unhoused, you get people telling you that they're just lazy. Why are you defending lazy people? They're all on drugs. They're all druggies. They want to be on the street. They deserve what they get. No, these people do not realize that a lot of us are just one bad string of luck away from becoming just like them and have to suffer just like them. And that is a thought that, by the way, scares so many people down to their core that they won't even realize. They won't even try to put themselves into another person's shoes. They just refuse to do that because of how afraid they are of it actually happening to them. No, it doesn't happen to people like us. It happens to bad people. They must have screwed up somehow. No, and they refuse to believe it. That said, overall, the persecution hasn't stopped Avell. He says he plans to continue housing the homeless population in his church this winter. 2 days after his arraignment, for example, Dodd's Place posted on his Facebook page a notice inviting anyone who could use a warm place to walk right in and enjoy hot coffee, cocoa, soup, and our heated building. Look, as tough as I am on religion and on religious people, this man, I got to give him a lot of credit. He's walking the walk. And he deserves that credit for showing people what it really means to be a person, a Christian, committed to their own ideals and are using it for good.